It's Wednesday, February 8th, 2023, and you're listening to Tell It Right podcast. Welcome back for part 2, UFO Conspiracies with Mike and Jerry. Alright, so that was fucking Greer. Like I say, he's like the messiah. Him and Tom DeLonge, they got info. They're gonna change the world, so whatever. But
that's why we should have gone to that Blink-182 concert.
I know we should have.
They're probably projecting into the air to call ET back to us.
No, well, you got to go to an Angels and Airwaves concert for that, because that's tied into his UFO bullshit and all that. So
Blink-182 is just talking about banging people's moms.
Actually, that is funny you brought that up, because Greer and Tom DeLonge were actually working together at one point, or he went to Greer for a lot of information that allowed him to get to where he was at. I don't know, but whatever. Greer will say that Tom DeLonge's mind was poisoned and he was sucked into the deep state, where Tom DeLonge sits there and is like, no, man, these are just regular people. If you just like realize what they work on, you shit your pants.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Greer, he's got a crazy story. Some of it makes sense. Other parts seems very Hollywood, and some parts, I mean, I'm into the meditation and all that. I really find that actually very fascinating and really cool. I would love to try that, actually. I would love to meditate and have deep combo with the ET, but I don't know.
It's just
people.
It's just too much for me. There's like,
is it a money thing? I don't know. Or is it for disclosure? That's for you fuckers to figure out. All right, do your research, Dr. Greer.
Yeah.
Jared, what else we got though?
I'm still thinking that UFOs are due to Nazis.
Yeah,
I'm telling.
No, I mean I'm with you there. They were working on some really crazy shit. Those Nazis, they were really into the esoteric. They were really trying to capitalize on advanced technology back then. And I mean, look, they came out with jets back then.
Yeah.
They had fucking rockets, like we were just talking about in the last episode here. Fucking V2 or V rockets made by Von Braun.
Yeah. I mean, you have to figure, and we've talked on this before about World War II, and after World War II, how quickly technology advanced. There's
guys right there up in the top. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you check out the St. Patrick's Day episode.
It's almost a year ago. We have another one coming up.
It almost is.
Another one coming up. We'll have to talk about that stupid song again.
It's Finnegan's Wake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we look at how fast technology went crazy right after World War II, and I mean, this whole timeline is all, right there, right in, Roswell and all this and that. I mean, it's scary to think of, when was the first airplane? When was the Wright brothers? 1902?
No, I think that was a little later. I'll look it up right now. But
nonetheless, you look at the Wright brothers, they were flying planes made with paper and sticks. And then in 1968, 69, we're on the moon.
1903.
Okay.
1903.
So
within 100 years is what you're really talking about.
Less than 100.
What you're getting at.
Yeah. So in 1968 or 1969, we landed on the moon, or supposedly landed on the moon. So you're talking 65 years, 66 years.
Buzz Aldrin saw shit, bro.
Buzz Advil.
Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong. Such an idiot. They reported on the medical line. They're here. They're waiting.
Lance Armstrong.
Yeah, and Lance. Yeah, he came on Apollo 13 and a half.
Apollo 1 nut.
They wanted Apollo 13 to be successful, that they came out with Apollo 13 and a half. And
right.
They landed on the moon, but they didn't get as much.
Yeah. So, again, I mean, you're talking. So in again, let's say 65 years time span, we went from a plane to a rocket on the moon, right? Or a rocket shooting us out into
No,
space.
we went from sticks and glue to fucking riveted steel being like literally
Rockets.
launch,
Yeah,
yeah, exploded off of a platform into space.
exactly. So 65 years. What happened 65 years after? Has it been 65 years since?
It's fucking crazy. Hold on, just that's fucking crazy. Okay, go on.
But think of so, and it's what 2023. So it's been 65, 63 years or so, a little less, around the same time frame since we landed on the moon to now. My math is
And we
off at
still
the moment,
launch, but we still launch
yeah,
rockets.
but that's all we
The
do.
only
We haven't
the
advanced any
only
further, is what
right,
I'm
the only
saying.
thing we've advanced at is we can land them fucking back on the planet. That's it.
Yeah,
And I mean, at this point, I mean, we should be like Star Wars,
exactly.
just
Yeah, everything should
you know.
just be floating on its own because there should be anti gravity shit. But that's what makes me think that like something happened where technology just exploded, no pun intended, and we all of a sudden advance so quickly that there's no more advancement because they haven't been able to test whatever they've obtained fast enough to better it, if you will. You know what I mean? Or it's
They
just there and they're not even
they don't have
releasing it.
Tesla's documents.
Yeah,
They're all being hoarded by the deep state, so you can't advance forward.
yeah. So that's what makes me think like it's a lot of the Nazi shit was insane. Like they knew something and like we captured them and that's why they kept all their scientists alive.
Yeah,
So like
I agree.
you look at that Operation High Jump. So getting
Yeah,
into the conspiracy theory stuff, where
right.
I forgot the naval commander's name, but again, a navy took a whole shitload of men and people and planes and all kinds of shit, like 6,000 of them. Or I want to say is the number.
Admiral Byrd
Yeah,
is who that
yeah,
was.
and he brought like 6,000 some people. I might be way off on that number, but that's just what's coming to mind.
4,700
Okay.
souls he brought
Yes.
with.
Okay. 47.
33 aircraft, and it doesn't say how many boats. Okay.
But nonetheless. So almost
Yeah.
5,000 people, 33 aircraft, and you're going to Antarctica.
Yeah.
Why? Like, you don't need that type of stuff to go to a place where there's nobody, especially nobody to fight. So,
Right.
you know, the whole Operation High Jump has to do with like the how you get into the flat Earth and then the ice wall, right?
Right. Well, I mean, I'm going to tell you. I mean, that's right around Roswell too. Hold on, I got that pulled up somewhere. Roswell was in 1947 as well.
Okay, when was High Jump?
So High Jump was also in 1947. It was, or is actually High Jump came before Roswell, so it started in 1946, went to 1947. They also called it Task Force 68.
Yeah, they couldn't say 69 because it would have been too funny.
Should have been 34 and a half.
Yeah, 34.5. Um,
Yeah.
so so that's kind of even weird. I didn't know that about Roswell being 47. So this is right around the same time frame. You know what
Yeah.
I
So
mean?
basically, it ended. Okay. So Roswell. Okay, Roswell happened in July. They ended this operation in February of 1947.
So what if this operation was them going down there, they found these Nazi UFOs, brought it
Pissed them
back.
off.
No, they brought it back, and while they were testing
Yeah.
it
At
at
Roswell.
Roswell, it crashed at Roswell.
I believe that. I mean, that's actually a good assumption. I don't think that's crazy either, because I mean, there is. I mean, guys, Google it. Nazi anti gravity.
Yeah,
They were working on the bell. I mean, they had some ideas. And power was an issue.
yeah,
That's what I was getting at. Like, if you have the power, a lot of this crap that people have thought of over the years can be done. And it really power is an issue.
Yeah.
I mean, because you need a fuel source, and we have these dirty fuel sources that you require a lot of it to only get half of you know what it's worth, and we're not outputting enough energy. Like, because like in other words, you would need like a huge nuclear power plant to try to lift up something the size of a freaking car.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's kind of what I'm getting at, and you just can't do that.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, I mean,
that's just insane.
so to go even a step further, so this is why. So let's talk. This conspiracy theory involves like 9 other theories, all in the same one, and it explains them. So this is
Yeah.
not only going to cover the ice wall. This is going to cover UFO and why we need them. It's going to cover flat Earth. It's going to cover a few other things, but the Nazis and all this and that. Right. So here we go. Sit back, relax, and
Let's do
enjoy
it.
the Jared and Mike Tell It Right. Open up a glass of wine, and this is time for the craziest shit you're going to hear today. So,
Conspiracy Friday.
yeah, it's a full moon, baby. Let's do this.
Full moon Conspiracy Friday.
Okay, so here we go.
My wife hates me right now.
Yeah. So the ice wall. So the whole idea is the Earth isn't exactly flat, if you will. It just ends. So it's got like a curvature to it, but all surrounding the entire world is ice. So Antarctica really isn't one spot. Antarctica is actually around us, the entire world. So our territory, right? So we're on this. Think of it like a giant ball in space. Like it's still like
Well, no,
curved.
no. Think about it as how you understand Earth.
Yeah,
Think about Earth. It's round,
yeah.
right?
Think of a
Okay.
map or a map of the entire world and how it's laid out, and you have the U.S. and Russia and all this and that. But then imagine there's an ice ring all around that,
Well,
right?
right. No, no. What I'm trying to here to really get the idea of what he's saying is think of planet Earth. Okay, you got planet Earth, but only it's this planet that's covered in ice,
Mm-hmm.
and there is this one little section on this big ball of ice that contains what we know as planet Earth.
Yes.
So if you then now think about the map laying flat on this one little section on this planet, and now it's surrounded by ice that we understand as Antarctica.
Yes. So there's just a never-ending circular wall around our territory, right? Our territory being what we know as the world, right?
Right.
So, and it's not that we're not on some type of spherical plane, but so we're what we know as the Earth is this, let's call it this little territory. But there's other
Yeah, yeah.
territories on this giant ball of ice in different areas. But there's such a vast area. Like think of instead of the world, think of Jupiter. Like Jupiter, how many Earths fit into Jupiter? You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
That's what we
Think of a
are.
planet that's it's like 20 freaking Earths, 20 million Earths just jammed into one.
Yes,
And
one
it,
giant
like,
ball, but it's filled with
we're just,
ice, and we're just a speck on that ice,
yeah.
right?
Right.
So there's other territories, like and from what I understand, the whole theory is like 33 territories altogether that are known, and
Do they got a Hunger Games?
I don't
That's what I
know.
want
I
to know.
mean, some of them were,
It might be like this really secret shit where like you just like get fucking like kidnapped in the middle of the night and like, hey, you're fighting for your realm or
your
whatever it's
your
called.
realm, yeah,
Yeah, your territory. Yeah. Like you might die, you might win. I
yeah,
don't know.
yeah, yeah. So, um, And some of
if you
these,
win, there's peace for your people.
right? If you
No
win, you'll
war.
have a pizza.
No war.
You get a pizza party.
Pizza party, no war.
Yeah,
But if you lose, your people are going to go into another world
yeah,
war.
yeah. So,
I think we lost. Anyways, sorry.
so like they get into like different territories, and they like some people are calling it almost like one is Asgard, like that's where Norse mythology comes from, and
Yeah.
like that might be a
Oh,
little bit beyond what I
I love
would
that.
think would be doable, but nonetheless, that's
I
like
love me some Mjolnir,
yeah.
the hammer of Thor.
So that's the idea that there's these 33 other territories. So when you think about it, so this is where like the whole flying saucer thing comes from, right? If you've got vast amount of ice and it's freezing cold, right?
Yeah.
Normal propulsion systems like gas or a gasoline engine or something isn't going to be able to travel that distance because it'll freeze or you run out and you can't get there. So you need some other source
Yeah.
of energy to be able to
Zero point
travel.
energy.
Yeah, to travel across these vast ice areas where it's really cold and right, and you can't refill fuel. You can't bring enough fuel with you to make it. So you have to make these flying saucers, and this is what kind of going back to when I was talking about the Mercury propulsion systems. The swirling, and that's what makes the thing fly because it spins so fast and all this craziness, right? So, so to travel to these other territories, these extra territories,
Yeah.
extraterrestrial areas, you need this type of propulsion system to get there, right? So the whole idea is that like one of these other territories was traveling across the ice. They found us. They figured that they could send more over, and that's what's actually coming is not from a different place in space, but from another territory on our
On our
giant
planet.
ice planet that we let's call it Hoth. On our giant
Yeah.
ice planet Hoth that our
Oh,
territory is on, right? So
right.
what happens is when if one of these, let's say a territory is larger or is let's say it's the lizard people are on one of these territories, right?
Yeah.
And they're more advanced than us because they have this technology. They can take over another territory because maybe they used up all of their resources in their portion in their extra territory. So they would
Yeah.
come and try to find other resources, and when they did, they found us, right? So the problem, though, is if they need all these resources, how are they going to get them? You can't just go across the ice because going over a curvature area is not the fastest way. Fastest way is direct lines or tunnels. So if you tunnel through the earth or through the crust of the planet we're on, not only do you have to not deal with the weather or the cold, but you have a direct line to transport resources underground to another territory. So,
Okay.
so
Okay.
you
Okay.
talk, you look at like Walmart and all this has these like underground facilities that they bring product to.
Yeah.
But what if like,
Our place, DIA too.
yeah,
DIA is like a
DIA.
tunnel network like no other.
So all
Like
these,
all your luggage goes under a tunnel network. You even go through the tunnel network when you
exactly.
fucking land.
It's weird as fuck. But what if
It's
that
Nazi.
is a
Yep.
direct line for supplies into a tunnel to go to another territory? Where again, the lizard people were just saying, because that's a big
Right.
conspiracy. So that is where, so basically, the idea is that we're kind of enslaved without knowing it. And a
Yeah.
lot of our supplies and things that we send are going to the lizard people to facilitate them.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's fucking wild. No, I mean it I have issues with the theory. Obviously, there's one big obvious one is if we go back to World War II. All right,
Yeah.
and the Japanese bombed Hiroshima. I mean, they didn't they didn't come from the eastern part of the world to travel west, when they could have just kept going east. You know what I mean?
Well,
Where
I mean, okay. So
it's just it's just like we would have, even though we didn't have satellites back then and all that shit, it's just like there was enough surveillance that could have caught that. I just feel like we would have never had Pearl Harbor,
unless it's a false flag,
Right, right, yeah, yeah. You're always right about that, but I mean,
it was a
still,
false
it's just
flag so that we could go. So it would force the U.S. to go to war
yeah.
because we weren't getting into the war.
I know, yeah.
I mean, that right there is like a straight up. That's probably exactly what happened because we were holding out going into the war. They needed help, and they said, "Well, how are we going to get this? Because why would Japan just bomb the U.S. randomly, especially if they had nothing to do with the war?"
Didn't we cut off their oil supply? Didn't we sanction them? Pretty much the early days of sanctioning.
Possibly, but at
Eh,
the same time, it's like,
Have you ever seen the movie with Ben Affleck and Josh Hartnett? I
Matt
almost said Matt Damon.
Damon.
He was probably in it. He was probably. We thought he was a CGI guy that got killed on one of the ships.
Yeah,
He probably was like, "Oh no, I'll just play that role.
yeah,
I'll play that one guy. It'll save you guys like $50.
yeah.
I'll do it for free,
Right, right.
because I'm Matt Damon.
Matt
Matt
Damon.
Damon.
Yes, I have
Fucking
seen that Pearl
retarded.
Harbor movie, but it's terrible. Like, I guess I read that there's like nothing factual about that except for like one scene.
Okay, so we didn't cut off the oil from the Japanese then.
I mean,
I
that
guess
could
that
be a
was a
fact.
lie.
I don't.
That could
I'm
be.
not versed enough. I mean, there's so much to World War II. Like, again,
No, there was definitely these best friends that were fighter
yeah,
pilots.
because that
One
happens.
went to England and they thought he died, and he just started banging his girl. The other just started banging his girl.
Yeah,
And that was a documentary, if you ask me.
yeah. So is Ghostbusters.
Well, yeah.
Don't cross the streams. Would be bad.
So is Independence Day. That's the biggest conspiracy
It
here.
is.
Is the war at '94? They wiped our brains. It happened.
Yeah.
Russell
Russell Case.
Case. But anyways, all right. So yeah, that's my big thing with it. But though it for me though, it's like, okay, I can give the flat earthers a little credit.
Mm-hmm.
They just kind of mislead when they say the earth is flat.
Well, I mean,
Like,
some are completely retarded and think it's
yeah.
like we're
Yeah.
just floating in the middle of like on a
Yeah.
or 2-dimensional map.
I guess I would say is it makes me happy that this theory that would support a flat earth theory still gives whatever we live on a curvature.
Yeah.
Because we're still part of a planet.
Yeah. It's not that
so
weird.
space is real.
Yes. Yeah. So
Not the Truman Show.
no, but it's just we're on this gigantic thing and the edges of it are ice and it's attaching other places.
Yeah, I mean, in two, I do like the whole idea. Well, I don't like the idea. But when it comes to this conspiracy theory, it's an fascinating idea to think that there is this. Instead of thinking of them as aliens, they're just a higher being of race because they've been around longer
Mm-hmm.
and they're more advanced. So yeah, now they can manipulate us behind the scenes and we'll never know, sort of deal. Which could make sense if if you had a higher being,
Mm-hmm.
or whatnot.
But I mean,
Now,
it would explain other
yeah,
things like uh, um, you know, like the movies like Journey to the Center of the Earth and all of this, and when they come
Yeah,
up
yeah,
and they're in
right.
like Middle Earth or wherever it is, where it's like
Yeah.
the underground subterranean area that's
Somehow has a
yeah
sunlight.
somehow has light and stuff.
Yeah.
But maybe it's not that they've gone to the center of the Earth, but they've come out in another territory.
Right. No, that
You know,
could totally
you
be.
went down and you went far enough that you came out on a different territory. Maybe that's why the Earth's core stopped moving or went into reverse.
Maybe. Now, what I can now, if I wanted to, like if I was going to compare this to Dr. Greer's story,
Mhm.
now Dr. Greer would say that the ET doesn't have this issue with resources, right? So we're getting away from this theory of this Hoth like planet, and we're going back to like the whole idea that there's really ETs out there, and they're coming around just checking on Earth and stuff. But like the whole idea is interdimensional
Okay.
shit, and that's how they can produce materials and like extrude make metals be like one piece. Um, so that's kind of like with this theory, like that's the only thing like I hate about it is like, yeah, now our society has to be a bunch of fucking slaves because this advanced society can't figure out how to tap into the multi-dimensional worlds and just steal fucking shit from other dimensions and bring it here.
Well,
But no,
maybe it happened when they turned on the collider.
but like getting back to the knots,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, fucking collider. That's another one.
Yeah.
That's another fucking full moon
Full moon
conspiracy night
conspiracies
Friday.
with
But back to
Jared
the
and
but
Mike.
back but back to the Nazis. So I forget what the Nazis operation was, but they were out there in the 30s.
Yeah.
And apparently that's where a lot of this started, where they started digging around and like how they found this information. Why that's where I'm still lost. Why did we think to try to travel to Antarctica?
Because that is the ice wall and that's where they need to go.
So really there wasn't it I mean if you think about it where Germany's, kind of situated, yeah, I mean all they would have to do is fly to the North Pole
But I mean,
on a
that
map.
ties 100% though with your story. So think of it this way
Yeah,
now. So
right.
again, we'll just call them lizard people on another territory made contact
Yeah.
with Nazis. Now they're
Uh-huh.
using deep state and infiltrating into the world to take it over without people knowing about it. You know,
Yeah.
the what was the one from Captain America?
Hydra?
Hydra, yeah. So this
Yeah,
is
yeah.
Hydra, but it's lizard people.
Mm.
They're infiltrated their way up into the highest powers, and they're secretly just taking our resources for their people, and they're going to collapse us at some point when they've figured out how to do so, or make
Right.
us just keep on working for them as slaves.
Yeah, or until we've suited their needs, and then once their needs are suited,
they'll
they'll abandon
they'll
us,
eat us.
and or they'll just abandon us, and you know that might actually cause issues because now the people that were corrupt, that were in charge of everything, they're not getting their orders anymore,
Yeah,
and they might fuck, and you know what I mean? Might cause a chaos. We're like, oh, what do we do now? And there'd be a power gap, and probably cause all kinds of fucking
yeah.
chaos, and then the Ron Swanson spinoff will happen, and it'll be fucking awesome.
I'd like to note that if in the next few days, weeks, months that I go missing or die in a mysterious way, it's probably because of this show that we're doing today.
No,
Like,
this is how you stay alive. You got to do shows like this. Yeah, you gotta stay. You gotta keep in the public. They
the
don't fuck with you when you're just talking. They just let you talk because, like you were saying before, like in the last episode, like it's that idea. Like I
discrediting.
forget what. Yeah, I forget what the word they. It's not plausible deniability, because plausible deniability is just basically
Keeping you,
using your word.
it's keeping you
Yeah,
completely in the dark.
right. But like, I guess with this, it's yeah, it's discrediting is
Yeah.
really all it is. That was the main strategy back then. You know, right after this Roswell thing, because there was a lot of groups that started coming out like, "Hey, no,
Hmm.
we want to know truth about it," and then they, you know, started discrediting it. I guess what we didn't talk about with Greer is that there was a document that was put out after Roswell, which is really fucking weird. That came from the director of psychological strategy. It's something with the CIA,
Hmm.
and basically that whatever happened in Roswell has an implication for psychological warfare. So if we get back to the
Hmm.
Nazis and we get back to, I mean, what I was saying in the beginning of the last podcast is that Roswell, that's what it was, man. And like it was like that's what I think. Like really, if I, I always want to believe ET is real. All right, that's where my stance is. But like, if you're asking me, what do you really think Roswell was? That's what I think it was. I think it was a Nazi, either the anti gravity craft
Hmm.
or they actually flew a fucking Nazi aircraft, from South America
Yeah.
to New Mexico, and it was shot down.
Yeah.
You know,
Probably by themselves.
and right. But the idea, though, to keep this secret, like, we don't want anybody knowing the Nazis tried making another attack. We want the world to believe we killed them. When we ended the war, the Nazi party disbanded and it has no strength.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm saying, like, that would be the perfect way to just come up with some batshit crazy, like, oh, something from out of this world crashed
Yeah.
here. But then to come back 2 days later and then say it's something completely different, like a weather balloon, then now it just sends this message to people like, what the hell? What's going on?
Yeah.
Is it an alien, or is it from out of this world? Is it
It's just
a
confusing
weather balloon?
everybody.
Right. And now nobody asked the question, hey, was it the Nazis?
Yeah. Because we killed them.
Nobody asked that question.
The war ended.
So now, and then the CIA puts this memo out here saying now, hey, we might have an idea for psychological warfare to fuck with people's minds, and we use this UFO subject, but we accomplish everything we need to.
Hmm.
Either being fear or whatever to fuck with people and get what they need out of it. But man, what if we are slaves? What if there is the lizard people, and they shape shift too?
Hmm.
I've heard that. Like, I mean, people are trying to say like Donald Trump's like one of his fucking Secret Service guys. Like, the guy is just an ugly motherfucker.
Hmm.
Kind of looks like a lizard
That
person,
was
but
Obama.
oh, was it? Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Obama.
No,
Yeah,
because if you look it up, you can look it up on YouTube. It was like Obama's got,
he's like an albino white skinned
yeah,
dude,
like
right?
bald head,
Pink
creepy
and like
looking.
pink eyes
Yeah.
and shit like that.
Yeah, you
And
got
like,
pink eye.
yeah,
You got pink eye for sure.
and they're trying to say that he's a reptilian or
Yeah.
whatever. Um, and like, yeah, no, I mean, there's other people out there. Like, there's this guy Corey Good. I mean, he says there's a goddamn federation out there of
Yeah.
like planets that meet over outside in a moon of Jupiter, because there's like this fucking like universal like delegation meeting ground,
Hmm.
almost like the at Coruscant, the little Senate,
Yeah.
or not little, the huge Senate thing that they got.
Yeah.
It's something like that where like all these planets come to Jupiter, in our solar system, and they meet, and like, yeah, they just delegate it out, and like, but like, yeah, the lizard people are an enemy though that they're fighting.
Yeah.
Like, it's like in Star Trek, you got the Federation and you got the Klingons, or you got the, what's that other I can't think of
The Borg.
they're not well. There you got the Borg, but then there's that other one. They're not. They're like the Vulcans, but they're not the Romulans.
Oh
That's
yeah,
what they
yeah.
are. They're just they're just uglier Vulcans. Is really what they are. They still got the pointy ears, but then they got like shit growing on their face
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
I don't know. It's fucked
Well, I
up.
mean,
Come on.
damn, I forgot what I was gonna say. I was thinking about something. It was funny.
Oh, sorry.
Um, well, nonetheless.
Yeah, but Mister Good, he claims, yeah, like this guy's fucking weird. He says he's time traveled to it. Like I don't know, when he was like 16 years old, instead of having a normal winter break, he time traveled somewhere. I forget if it was in the future or the past. And then when he came back, he was an adult, and they had to give him a serum that fucking shrank him back to 16 again or something.
I mean, now you're
So
getting
I
way
don't
too out
fucking know.
there. Like, it's one thing if you've
Yeah,
seen aliens, like, but then you're time traveling and fucking getting changed back into a teenager. Like,
well, yeah,
pick a lane, bro.
but then you're randomly getting picked up and being brought to fucking Jupiter to go sit on a delegation. Like,
Yeah,
and that's fucking out there. And that I can't take serious because it's like you said, yeah, pick a path, bro. Like first you're time traveling, getting intelligence for the fucking deep state. Now you're working for the good guys and you're over in Jupiter having cocktails and
right.
fucking doing that game, and then I don't know, and then the lizard people are
Mm.
fucking wrecking havoc and escorting Obama and shit. I don't know, and like,
Well, what kills,
and
I mean, what kills me
yeah,
especially, like, so, like, anytime there's any sighting of anything, it's always like Bigfoot quality video. You know what I
yeah,
mean? And it's like, hold on a second. I get crazy freaking videos with my camera, like on a phone
yeah,
eh,
right,
at any point in time in my life. Like, you can see some crazy crap on, all these TikTok and blah, blah, blah.
yeah,
But like, here's a quick, like, weird conspiracy. Not even a conspiracy, but in our age where we have camera phones and technology and can stream anything at any point in time, anywhere, there is currently a war in Ukraine, and I personally have never seen any camera footage or anything from somebody's phone that's been posted anywhere on anything from this war that's been going on for almost a year now. Yet I have seen more videos lately of Iraq war from 2003.
Maybe you're not looking at TikTok in the right spot because I
uh,
get a bunch of drone shots, man, dropping grenades and
but those are drones. That shit is like what they want you to see, because those
yeah,
drones are controlled by the military. There's zero
right,
civilian or soldier videos. And
yeah. Well,
if
I
there
mean,
are
I
soldier
see.
videos, it's like them like walking around some damaged shit, not actually in war.
Well, here's the tough part because you never know if it's a sound in the background that they added
Hmm.
or if it's really you're hearing gunfire. But I mean, I see videos all the time. I'm seeing them like open fire. I'm not seeing any like. Granted, they're not tracer rounds, so you're not really fucking seeing them. But I'm not really seeing anything like popping up around them. Like
Yeah,
you never see bullets. But then again, I mean, the Russians are kind of like the Empire. They got a bunch of soldiers that don't know how to fucking shoot.
true. But I mean,
So
it's still like in a whole
yeah,
year's time that this has been going on, there's just so little amount of any kind of media footage. Like, think of like when they were rolling into Iraq, there's people on ground with like those stupid looking
yeah,
helmets rolling around with the UN. But I guess that's
yeah.
one another thing is that the Ukraine isn't part of the UN. So,
No,
so I don't know.
this is gonna go off subject here from the UFO conspiracies for sure.
Well, this is more into the conspiracy though, that
Yeah,
what is going on with
right.
like this war.
what I'm gonna say about the Ukraine-Russian war, this is a whole new type of warfare. I don't think people really realize to the extent what that means. So not only, I mean, like, this isn't a normal war like the United States gets into where they fucking get air superiority and they just rock the fucking town. Nobody's got air superiority. This is a bloodbath
Yeah.
going between the both of them, right? So, but what I'm getting at is it's not just a war of them fighting each other, missiling each other to death and all that crap. I mean, this is the biggest disinfo propaganda thing since World War II.
Yeah.
And this is on a whole nother level because now it's digital and you got social media and it's crazy. And that's what I'm saying. Like, nobody really talks about that. But like, that's part of the war. This is why I'm sitting here saying we are in World War III. It's just a new type of warfare.
Yeah.
It's not a warfare where every country is now. I mean, every country is kind of involved. They're sending equipment, but they're not sending soldiers, right? But there's things happening too. Like, I mean, we're being attacked every day in the United States with hackings and all this shit. Now
China has a goddamn spy balloon above us right now.
Yeah, right. There's a spy balloon over Montana right now that they don't want us to shoot down. And
yeah,
whatever. Yeah, okay, we'll leave it.
Oh yeah, that's just a weather balloon. And then they actually said that they've identified that it's not a weather. There's no weather equipment on it. So
and they've given Biden options on how to take it down, but apparently this happened in 2016 and they shot over 1,000 rounds and couldn't take it out of the sky. So I don't know. But if Jared was on the fucking balls too, fucking flying around on his 50 cal there.
Yeah.
What is it? The M1 56,000.
Yeah, the 1,875,262.
Jared getting 2 bursts.
Well, I think it's at like 60,000 feet, so there'd be no way of getting up to it.
Jared would be in a fucking respirator.
Yeah.
Pilots would be just barely hanging on. Balls 2's propulsion or engines would be trying to kick out because gravity's pulling it down.
There's not enough air.
Hold on. I got it.
Yeah.
We got it, guys.
Yeah.
And then,
yeah. Yeah,
First time anybody's ever jumped out of a helicopter with a parachute.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, there's so much crazy shit that, like, I mean, the government came out and said that there are UFOs. I mean, and this happened in 2020, and it was such a shitty year that nobody gave a shit.
Guys, we're doing part two or part 3. It might only be like 10 or 20 minutes, but I'm gonna cut it here and we'll catch you on the part 3. That's our show. Please make sure to subscribe to catch all the latest episodes of Tell It Right podcast. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.